Welcome to Drive the Daf. Clear, structured explanation of the daily Daf in 20 minutes. You can even follow in the car.
Pesachim Daf Kuf Vav continues discussing the halachos of Kiddush and Havdalah. The Gemara will move through a number of different halachos relevant to the two sugyas. Most of them are being learned out of either brisas or incidents that happened with Hamarayim, where we can learn halachos. So the last thing we've seen was a brisa which says if somebody comes home on Matzah Shabbos, he should make Havdalah in the following order. He should say the bracha Bar Priya Gafen, then Bar Mari Ha'esh on the fire, then the bracha on the Psamim, and then Havdalah. And if he didn't bench yet and he only has 1 cup of wine, so he should bench first, not drink the cup of wine, and then add all the other brachas afterwards on that cup of wine. So the Gemara now says, and here we are in the last 4 lines on Daf Kuf Hey, the Gemara says that we could learn a number of halachos. We could learn 8 halachos out of this brisa. First of all, we learn that somebody says Havdalah in the Shemona Esrei of Ma'ariv still has to say Havdalah again when he gets home, because he has to say Havdalah over a cup of wine. We're discussing somebody who comes home, and the simplest understanding is that he did do a normal Ma'ariv, and therefore he did say Havdalah in Ma'ariv, but he still has to say Havdalah again at home over a cup of wine. Next halacha we learn is that the Birchas Hamazon, the benching, requires to be said over a cup of wine. We said that if the guy needs to say Birchas Hamazon still, he only has 1 cup of wine, he should use it for both benching and Havdalah. Obviously, this brisa holds that you can't bench without a cup of wine. Next halacha we see is that a kais shel bracha, a cup that you're going to use, a cup of wine that you're planning to use for a bracha, whether it's Kiddush, Havdalah, Birchas Hamazon, has a minimum amount. Otherwise, if it didn't have a minimum amount, you could just divide your cup in half into 2. Obviously, the reason you can't divide it into 2 is because there isn't enough wine there, which implies that there is a minimum. Next halacha we could see here is that somebody who says a bracha has to drink from the cup of wine. If you didn't have to drink from the cup, so you could do one and then do the other. Do first Birchas Hamazon and then Havdalah. Why do you have to combine them over the same cup of wine? Do one, put the cup aside, leave it. That's it. Obviously, you have to put the 2 together because you have to drink from the cup. Next we learn is that if you do drink from it, you messed it up. It's called a kais pugum. It is no longer usable. Otherwise, we would tell you drink from it and then use it again. But you can't use it again because it is pugum. It is damaged. It is considered to be missing from the fact that you drank from it and you can't use it anymore. Next thing we saw is that if somebody says, if someone eats before Havdalah, he can still say Havdalah. That's going to be a discussion later on the daf. Next halacha we saw is that you are allowed to do 2 different brachas over the same cup of wine. You could do 2 different mitzvahs, such as Havdalah and Birchas Hamazon, that we had seen earlier in the Parakos and Machlokas, whether or not you're allowed to do that. And the last thing is that this brisa goes like Beis Shammai. There's Machlokas between Beis Hillel and Beis Shammai, what the order of Havdalah is, and Machlokas between Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Meir, what the exact Machlokas between Beis Hillel and Beis Shammai is. So this is Beis Shammai according to Rabbi Yehuda, who says that Birchas Hamazon comes first, and that fire comes before B'samim. Okay. Gemara moves on. Gemara says, Rashi says, that which we just said, that if you drink it, you made it into a defective cup, and we also said that there's a minimum size. Those are actually the same halacha. The reason that you made it defective is because you made it less than the minimum size. So those combine into one. Those aren't really 2 separate limudim. All it meant to say was that since there's a minimum size, if you drink from it, it becomes defective. On the sugya of defective cups that somebody drank from, the Gemara says that Rabbi Yaakov Ar-Idi, he was machmir more than just not having a cup that people drank from. He didn't even use a bottle that somebody drank from. That doesn't mean he drank directly from the bottle, but that somebody took out of the bottle. He would say you have to pour your Kiddush wine and your Havdalah wine from a full bottle. Ravidi Bar Shisha, he was only machmir on the cup, that there shouldn't be anything missing from the cup that somebody poured out or drank from, and Mar Bar Vashi was machmir even on the barrel. The barrel shouldn't have anything missing from the barrel. You should open a new barrel of wine. The Rashbam says he doesn't mean a huge wine barrel. He means a smaller, more portable barrel of wine. Okay, the Gemara moves on. The Gemara brings a brisa discussing the mitzvah of Kiddush altogether. Now, the question for the next tzugah will be, when do you say the main Kiddush, the main mitzvah of Mekadesh Shabbos? When do you say that? So the brisa says you say it during the day. How do you know? The pasuk says Zachar Yisayim Shabbos L'Kadshai. That teaches you have to be Zachreu. Zachar, you have to mention it over a cup of wine. And when do you need to do that? During the day. Now, how do I know that you're also supposed to do it at night? So that's because it says Zachar Zeh Shabbos L'Kadshei. Same pasuk. Somebody asks right away. First of all, this doesn't make any sense. Why do you assume that when you're being Mekadesh the Shabbos, the initial position is that it's during the day? It should be at night when Shabbos begins. As a matter of fact, the pasuk says Zachar Zeh Shabbos L'Kadshei. You are being Mekadesh it. You are sanctifying it in its initial moments. So it should be at night. So that should be the first thing. And then you want to figure out where it is during the day. That I hear. Now, according to you, you're trying to figure out where it is during the night. How do you bring the pasuk of Zachar Zeh Shabbos L'Kadshei? How do you add into that anything about doing it at night? You were Mekadesh it, we said, during the day. The pasuk there says Yom Shabbos L'Kadshei. So the Gemara therefore says you have to flip this brayso around. And what it means to say is as follows. It means to say, how do you know there's a mitzvah of Kiddush on wine? Zachar Zeh Shabbos L'Kadshei, and L'Kadshei implies in the early moments, which is at night. Now, how do you also know that there's a mitzvah of Kiddush additionally besides for that? There is something to say during the day. And that's why it says Zachar is Yom Shabbos L'Kadshei. It adds during the day as well. Now, what is Kiddush during the day? So Gemara brings an incident. Rav Ashi went to the town of Mechuzah, and they honored him with saying Kiddush. He did not know what he was supposed to say. In that town, they called it Kiddusha Rabbah. We use the phrase Kiddusha Rabbah now. They honored him with Kiddusha Rabbah, the big Kiddush. That was confusing because Kiddush during the day is just a Bar Priya Gafen. There is no big bracha of Mekadesh Shabbos. So why is it called the big Kiddush? So the Gemara says that Rav Ashi wasn't sure if here in this town maybe they say a longer Kiddush. So he didn't know what to do. So he decided, look, whatever they say, it starts with a Gafen. I'll start with a Gafen. I'll stretch it out, and I'll see if somebody drinks. That means that he's assuming a Kiddush is over. I know the custom in the town is that they just say Hagafen, like most towns. If, however, when they say Kiddush Rabbah, they mean that they say a longer Kiddush, then nobody will drink, and I'll get the point, and I will continue with the regular Friday night Kiddush. So Gemara says, so he said it. He said the bracha, very Priya Gafen. He stretched it out a little. He waited, and he saw some old man couldn't wait any longer, and he started to drink. So right there, he realized that that is all they meant. The regular Bar Priya Gafen, they just called Kiddush Rabbah as a euphemism of sort. And he said about himself, Chacham Einav B'Reisha. I was able to figure this out with wisdom of having my eyes in my head. Okay. The Gemara goes further. What happens if you didn't say Havdalah or you didn't say Kiddush? How long do you have to make it up? So, Gemara quotes the Bnei Rabbi Chia, says if you didn't do Havdalah on Matzah Shabbos, you could do it the entire week. The Gemara says it doesn't mean the whole week. It means Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Why? Because halacha in Gittin is that if somebody gives his wife a get, and he says it's on condition that you fill a certain tanai, let's say you give me some money, and you have to give it to me after Shabbos, so that it has to be within Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Those are considered days that follow Shabbos. If he says give it to me before Shabbos, so that's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, those are the days that precede Shabbos. By the same logic, Havdalah you could say as long as it's after Shabbos, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, but not any further than that. Says Gemara, Rav Yaakov Ar-Idi says that's only the bracha of Havdalah. The bracha on the fire you can only say on Matzah Shabbos. The reason for the bracha on the fire is because fire was given to Adam Rishonim on Matzah Shabbos. We thank Hashem for it. At the time that it was given, the rest of the week is not the right time. Says Rav Bruna, somebody who washes his hands for Kiddush, new subject, somebody who washes his hands for Kiddush, somebody who washes his hands for bread, cannot say Kiddush afterwards. He cannot interrupt between the washing and the bread by saying Kiddush. Now there are some kilos who do have this minhag today. So Gemara says that there's a problem here. Is what if you're saying a Kiddush on bread itself? You know you could be Mekadesh al pas. So then obviously you have to wash before Kiddush. So Gemara says that Rav Yitzchak bar Shmuel bar Marta said Rav didn't even pass away yet, and people are already forgetting the halachas that he taught. I was often in Rav's house, and sometimes he made Kiddush on bread, and sometimes he made Kiddush on wine. Which one did he choose? He chose the one that was more chaviv, more preferred to him. If he was hungry, he made Kiddush on bread, and if he was thirsty, he made Kiddush on wine. The chashivas of the bread and the wine went by how dear it was to him at the time. Okay, now the Gemara has a shayla. The Gemara wants to know if you ate before Kiddush or you ate before Havdalah, did you lose the Kiddush or Havdalah, or could you still make it? This was referenced earlier in the daf. So the Gemara says that they asked Rav Chana, they asked Rav that Rav Huna said in the name of Rav, once you say Kiddush, once you ate before Kiddush, you don't have a right to say Kiddush anymore. You lost the Kiddush. They asked Rav Chana bar Chinina. Rav Chana bar Chinina asked Rav Huna, what about Havdalah? You're quoting Rav as saying that once you ate before Kiddush, you can't say Kiddush anymore. What if you ate before Havdalah? So he said, I hold that you are allowed to say Havdalah even if you ate something. Rav Asi, however, says that you cannot. Rav Yirmiyah bar Abba went to the house of Rav Asi, and he made a mistake, and he ate before Havdalah. So he gave him a cup, and he said, here, make Havdalah. So his wife said, what do you mean, you hold it? Now let him make Havdalah if he ate before Havdalah. So he said, okay, but he could follow his Rebbe. His Rebbe holds that you do you still have a chance to make Havdalah even if you ate already. Okay, now Rav Yosef says in the name of Shmuel that somebody who ate cannot say Kiddush and he cannot say Havdalah. Rabbah, however, quotes Rav Nachman, who says the name of Shmuel, that he could say Kiddush and he could say Havdalah. The Gemara now quotes Rabbah, who gives the halacha in these last two sugyas. He says if you ate before Kiddush or Havdalah, you could still say Kiddush and Havdalah. If you missed it in the right time, so Kiddush you could say the entire day, and Havdalah you could say the entire week, which the Gemara says doesn't mean the whole week. It means the first 3 days. Rishonim explained that. It means Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Now there's a different version of this halacha of Rava, which is brought by a Meimar, who says that Havdalah you can't make Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. You can only do the entire day, meaning Sunday. After Sunday, you lose the opportunity to say Havdalah.
Drive the Daf is a project of the Grand Woodlands Shul and is presented by Rabbi Yitzchak Landa. Find us on YouTube or subscribe to daily emails by emailing drivethe.daf@gmail.com.